means that I'll probably say things that I would normally have to say, but I'm thinking of the audience beyond here, right? So welcome to the Building Bridges teacher training. We're happy to have you all on board. I want to start out by giving an overview of this curriculum. Who thinks they have taught this before? Nobody.
Thinks
Great.
they have that.
Excellent. So the reason why I say that is that I totally revised this curriculum last year. And I revised it so that it was much more engaging, much more age appropriate, more interactive, so that it had sort of a what's my personal connection to these religions element. And I'm really excited about it. I think last year went really well. The feedback I got was really good. If you have feedback that is good or bad, please don't hesitate to let me know, because I consider it a work in progress. But so far I think it's going really, really well. So I'm psyched about that. Building Bridges, the name is stolen. Building Bridges is the name of a curriculum that the UUA put out, the Unitarian Universalist Association. And so some pieces of the curriculum are stolen from there. Like they have these fact sheets that people would use, and I turned the fact sheets into a quiz game kind of thing for the kids. And so some of that, there's just bits and pieces of content that I borrowed from that curriculum that I hopefully gave credit for throughout the curriculum, but the rest is pretty original. So I'm excited about it. The format is pretty consistent throughout. So we're focusing on the major religions of Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity. We have a couple of sessions devoted to Sikhism, because we are fortunate to have a Sikh temple here in town that welcomes us. And then we have a couple of sections that focus on paganism. And then there is a session on why religion. So we start out the year not looking at any particular religion, but asking what compelled people to develop religious beliefs. And I think that's a really useful way to head into the year, because they come back to that throughout the year. And of course, we also talk about Unitarian Universalism. So generally speaking, the first session for a unit looks like this. It starts out with the quiz game show kind of thing, where you divide the class into teams, and you present a question, and to make it just a little extra fun, these are their buzzers, and they have interesting sounds. Scream, siren, lion's roar, and laughing. Just to add a little zing to the quiz. So, let me turn these all off now. You have to remember to turn them on for that. You can't just press them.
I would just play with their minds.
But I pressed it!
It's supposed to sound like that.
So, actually, so you start out with your opening chalice lighting kind of thing. And you ask them to share, what's your experience with Judaism? Do you know anyone who's Jewish? Have you celebrated any Jewish holidays? Just kind of bringing in their own personal experiences. Then you go into this quiz game. I don't know why I'm calling it a quiz. This game show thing. And in the process of doing this game show, if you look at your introduction that hopefully you picked up on your way in the process,
This one?
yes, thank you. You're filling out this chart, which one of you from each team is going to take home and create between now and the first day of class. So all of the questions are geared towards answering these, or filling in this grid, okay? And this becomes a really wonderful comparative tool throughout the year as you're addressing one religion after another. After the game show thing, then they watch a 20-minute video, and we use this video series, Understanding World Religions. I love this series because these are 20 minutes long. It's very much, you know, the Cliff's Notes of something that you could spend, I don't know, 10 years studying. And it involves kids in it. It's very age appropriate for this group. Okay. So that's the second thing that happens during the first session, and then we put out like items that somehow reflect that faith. So it could be pictures, it could be flags, it could be a menorah, it could be a cross. You know, just relics of that faith. And I would invite you guys to bring in anything that you have that relates to that faith too, so that they can have a little more hands-on experience with some of the things. And then we put out a bunch of books that they can also look at that have to do with that faith tradition. So that's the first introductory lesson. And the second lesson for the unit, and they're like usually 4-week units, the second week they go deeper into a particular piece of that religion. There's so much, as you can imagine. So many different things that you could focus on. It was sort of overwhelming, like, where do you go now after that introductory lesson? Because there's a million different directions. But I chose different directions for different faiths. So like for Buddhism, we talk about meditation and the Eightfold Path. For Judaism, we talk about the 10 Commandments and the concept of Tikkun Olam. For Hinduism, we talk about the Hindu deities and puja, which is prayer. So it's really giving them a little more in-depth look at something, some piece of that religion. Then for the third week, most frequently they'll go to a place of worship, which is really awesome. So like I'm in the process now of arranging the visit to Deer Park Buddhist Center. We usually go to Temple Bethel for Judaism. We go to Black Hawk Church for, we have 2 visits actually under Christianity. We go to Black Hawk and then we go to a more mainstream church. We've done Asbury for a couple of years. We'll see what we end up doing.
Is that the Lutheran church?
Asbury Methodist in Middleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I think I just was a teacher helper and I went to a Lutheran church.
Oh, that could be, yeah. Peace Lutheran maybe in Wanakee.
I thought it was in Madison, but
Oh,
who knows?
it could be. I don't know. We've visited a few over the years. So we go to that. We go visit that place. If it's well, I guess Islam is the only example where we were not able to go visit a place, and so we bring in a speaker for that.
Is the campus one they say no?
It's we've had problems with the hours. Like they would want us to come to the prayer times like during the weekdays, and that just didn't work out. You know, we can try again, but it just has not worked out in the past few years. So, and in some ways, it's been actually really nice to have a speaker come, because then they're really having some good face-to-face contact and can ask questions, and you know, Islam becomes more real and more human for them, rather than just this thing that the media has turned it into. So. So that's the third session, and then the fourth session they come back here, and that's kind of a wrap-up time. And you start out that session by reviewing, just kind of going over what are some of the things that you learned, what are some things that they remember from their visit, and what are questions that they might have lingering from their visit. And then each participant will have a journal, and they'll spend some time journaling. And the focus of that journaling is, what struck you about this religion? You know, what did you think was really cool? What did you think was really odd? What's your experience learning about this religion? So they'll do a little bit of that. You don't have to read that at all. Nobody's gonna, you know, they're not gonna be under lock and key, but there's no plan for anyone to read that other than themselves. And then, here's the building bridges part. There's definitely a thread throughout the year of how are we like people of other faiths? What are the things that connect us? What are the bridges that connect us? And so they're challenged, and they're also prompted to think about that when they're journaling. And they're challenged to think about how are we similar rather than, always thinking about how are we different. And they create, if you look at, I think I totally took this anyway. Because I'm not looking at the introduction. Okay. If you look at page 2 of your introduction, there is a sample of a bridge. So they'll be given a big piece of mural paper, and you'll have these little pavers, these paper pavers, and on each paver they write something that connects us to the people of that faith. And they create this bridge, and it gets hung up in the hallway, and some people can decorate it with different symbols and whatnot from that faith, and other people can focus on writing in what are our similarities, and then that's the end of that unit.
It's a great capstone.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. Yeah, and I just love the idea of really shining a light on how we are similar. Not that differences are bad, but, it's not always them. It's not always us and them. So, anyway. So that's that. The exceptions to the rule of that format are the Sikhism unit, because we only have 2 sessions devoted to that. There's an introductory session that you also kind of integrate the bridge activity with, because there's just that and then the visit. And then for paganism, there's a woman in our community who comes and is the guest speaker for that. And then she arranges, do you all know what Faith in Action is? I think you do, yeah. So she arranges for our Building Bridges groups to go out to Circle Sanctuary in Barneveld, which is a pagan community, and then they do a service project in the spring. So she comes the week before solstice service. She does an introduction to paganism. The next week, classes go to the solstice service, and then later in the spring, when the ground thaws, they go out and do their service project there.
That's great.
Yeah, so those are the exceptions to and then Christianity has an extra session in it. So, that's that. I mentioned that as you're doing the game show, you're filling in that grid, the comparative religions grid. You're also, notice over there's a religions timeline. One of the questions has to do with when did this religion come into being, and there are ribbons that are hanging on the rope there that have the names of the religions on them, and so you'll put them on the timeline as you're going along so they can kind of see the chronological evolution of religion. I think that's kind of a nice visual for them.
You said we're filling out this chart.
Uh-huh.
This chart is where?
So this chart, I thought Rachel was going to have 2 big pieces of mural paper for us tonight. She doesn't, so at some point I'm going to run and just cut them for you. And they're, like maybe 4 feet wide. And
Okay, so it's a permanent.
somebody has to draw the chart in there, and yeah, it's a permanent thing that
Okay.
you'll roll up at the end of your class
Okay.
session, stick it in the closet, and then pull it out the following week.
Okay.
So,
And I had a bunch of questions. Want me to wait till later, or ask?
go for it. No,
Okay.
that's fine.
So there's books and objects in one of the sessions for them to look at, and I don't understand how that works. So I'm imagining a bunch of kids being allowed to play with objects and read books, and then it becomes chaos. So what's the expected of how that rolls out? You're looking at me like I'm crazy, but
It's not great, I'm just puzzled. Why would it be more chaotic than anything else?
because
And not tongue in cheek at all.
Yeah.
because
I forget, I'm a teacher, and I'm a pretty good one. I'm so good at enforcing discipline. So
from my viewpoint, everything else is structured, and there's
Okay.
turn, and there's participation, and there's a protocol to follow. If my daughter's allowed to sit and read a book in a corner, she'll go read a book in a corner, and ignore everyone else the rest of the time.
Oh, it's
So-
not,
But she'll do that.
yeah.
So the question is, what's the expectation?
I would say the expectation is that before you do the closing credits for that day, after you've watched the video, you've done the chart, you say, okay, let's take 5 minutes to go look at the items that are
Okay.
on the table.
Okay, so it's just a short thing.
It's a short thing,
Okay.
yeah.
And I would think last year when we did Bible-odium, we would go through some of the books and pick out things that we wanted to share with them ahead of time.
Sure.
Kind of direct it that way.
Yes, right, you could do that too.
We could do it as a show and tell thing where we're presenting, that's fine, but I wasn't sure what we're going for. Are we combining sections for the trips to the
Yes.
places? Okay.
Yes, so we combine for the trips. I arrange all the trips because otherwise it gets too crazy making for those places, for the places we visit, getting calls from different people. So I arrange them all. I'll send the emails out to families letting them know this is the deal, this is when you gotta be there. They will not fit neatly into your class time.
Of course.
So that's just the way it is, but whenever we visit a place, that's in lieu of class that weekend. So no class if there's a visit. And I really do try to give people as much notice about visits as possible because I want them to get them on their calendars.
Are they all Saturday or Sunday? Or is there some weekdays?
I think that they are all Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
I don't remember any weekday visits last year or the year before.
And is the expectation that there'll be, let's say all the kids show up, 24 kids and potentially 24 or 50 parents?
So when I am arranging the visit with people, I ask how they feel about parents attending.
Okay.
Some places are small and they really can't accommodate those numbers. And you know, not all parents want to stay.
Of course, that's,
Yeah, but, and definitely not all kids show up, you know, because it's a time that's not usual.
right.
And they have other family or extracurricular activities going on. But we do have to have at least one teacher there.
And Leslie, can you walk me through logistics? So again, we wake up, obviously we're gonna get notified ahead of time, but Sunday morning we come to FUS and I'm imagining there's a mass transportation for us.
No, it's kind of like get yourself in.
Okay, get yourself here at X hour, okay.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
obviously some carpooling by the parents potentially.
If people want to arrange for that, go for it. I have found it to be a logistical nightmare, so I don't want to be involved in it.
No, that's fine, of course.
But yes, I would
There's Uber.
encourage people to, what's that?
There's Uber.
Uber, that's right.
Just walk.
We don't have a church van, so we can't go that route.
Okay.
The fourth session, you said there's a Q&A section to ask questions. Is there a reason why they don't ask the questions at the temple or the third visit more? Like have the questions ahead of time to bring with them?
I would encourage them to ask as many questions as possible at the actual visits, and even if you wanted to kind of make that a part of.
I would make that
Your
part of the second
classroom
section
protocol?
almost. Just to get the questions
Yeah,
so you can, because not everyone can make it.
Yeah.
So to get the questions ahead of time would be a good thing to have.
Yeah. Some of the questions that come up though are in response to what they're seeing or hearing at
Of
the
course,
visit.
of
But
course.
yeah, if they wanted to think about some questions to bring in there. And when I say, you know, some questions on the fourth session, really what I'm thinking of is like, there will be kids who will wonder about things and they don't want to bring it up that day. So maybe they'll
Right.
say, why did he say that they kneel when they're doing, you know, whatever. Whatever they may come up with.
Well, but it's very likely we won't know the answers to a lot of these questions very potentially because it's a religion that we may not be familiar with.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can also tell you that a lot of teachers in the past have brought in their tablets, their iPads, and they'll
Okay.
look, they'll look them up,
Okay.
yeah, which is great, yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. So about the visits, one of the things that you guys are gonna have to kind of keep an eye on is that sometimes when parents come, and sometimes it's teachers, they kind of dominate the conversation time, you know, like the speaker will say, okay, do you have any questions? And they're all over that. And this is really the kids' experience, not primarily for the adults. So I really encourage teachers to give them the space to,
Is there a reminder to the parents up to that
yes, there is. Yeah,
ahead of time?
yeah,
So it's not like, what?
yeah.
No guarantee that all parents will read or follow it, but still,
Right.
that has to be made, I'm glad you
Right,
do.
we're giving it a try, yeah. So you're the space keepers for the kids so that they can make it their learning experience. So I do want to also say that because this is a world religions class and because most people have had some experience with a religion coming into this, maybe several religions, maybe positive, maybe negative, one of the things that I think the teachers of this class have to be really sensitive to is what's your baggage regarding different religions, and how do you check the baggage at the door? Because we really don't want to convey negative attitudes about other faiths, nor do we want them going that route in their conversations, you know? Like, we gotta keep this all very respectful, very open-minded. This is about building bridges, not putting up walls, right? So it's just something to be attentive to. It happens in the most unconscious of ways. And it's interesting because I really try to make a point of talking about this now in all of the teacher trainings, because I've had a couple parents who have noted that sometimes our kids can be like, oh, well, we're not like that. We're Unitarian. We're just so much better. And, you know, we are good, but I don't want, it's not a contest. You know, I don't want it to be a contest. So it's just something to be mindful of. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions so far? No. Okay. All right, so we're going to shift our attention now to Dropbox. And I will send you the link later. And Karen, you were too when I said that. I tried sending a link out, it didn't work. Okay. So, I'm going to bring my glasses. So I'm going to resend it. And as much as possible, we're trying to go paperless because we are guilty of killing a lot of trees in the RE program. And the other reason why we're going to Dropbox is that we've all talked before, so you can relate to this. People add throughout the year. People change, people drop. There's always changes going on in enrollment, or you know who has allergies and all that good stuff. And it gets a little crazy keeping current information in teachers' hands and CSCs and faith and action coordinators. So this way, Rachel or I can go in here, we can update the list, and then whenever you are needing to send an email out to families, for instance, you can go to this list and just do a copy and paste, and it will be current. So I'm going to kind of walk through here all the materials that are here so that you know. So let's start with your class lists. You have copies now. Feel free to throw them away after today because they may very well change. I'm kind of kidding, but you're going to want to check to see if it changed at all. So the nice thing about this, because you've all taught before, you know how much it was a pain in the butt that you had to enter every single email address because we didn't have it in this handy way where you can just, you know, copy and paste. Now you can just copy and paste, okay? So that's a really nice feature of being able to have a class list there. You have phone numbers, you have names. Where am I going here? What are the names?
Well, maybe scroll down on the right there.
Yeah, go to the left a little bit. Yeah, no, below.
Lower.
Lower, left, lower. Keep going lower.
Here
Up
we
higher,
go.
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's usually a little darker, but so and then there's all your contact information on the bottom. I'm pointing to my lap as you can do that. All of your information here on the bottom for contacting each other. Okay. If you see any mistakes in the contact information that we have for you, please let us know.
Don't just update it in there?
Huh?
Don't just update it in the document. Leave it.
You do not have editing privileges.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
My name's spelled wrong and add a Y there.
Oh, and a Y?
Yep. Like my email address, eventually.
Okay, so where do I want to add that?
It's spelled just like my email address.
Gotcha. Okay.
See, the paper's already up.
Magic.
Yeah.
I gotta check to see that update.
Okay, so there's a list for Saturday and a list for Sunday, obviously. Here are all of the lessons. So, you know, you can just download the lessons that you're responsible for teaching, and you can edit it however you want. This way, if let's say I come upon some video that I think would be just awesome for one of the lessons. I can plug it in there and I don't have to send out copies to all of you. It's just right there for when you're ready. So for that reason, you might not want to go to these until you're really ready for them. In case you're having thoughts of going home and downloading them all and printing them out, that might defeat the purpose a little bit, okay? So there's the introduction that you have copies of tonight, and then all of the lessons here.
So again, we can't change these, but it has to be you?
Yeah.
So if we want to add something to it, we have to tell you?
If you want to add something to it, go ahead and download it to your computer or copy and paste and add away.
Okay, but there's not a place for us to share it with in Dropbox?
No, but there is. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
This is one of my, this is a learning curve for me, okay? I am not adept in, oops, I didn't want that, in Dropbox. So I'm learning here. There is a way for you to make comments. And I think you go to review, track changes, and then I can say, that's not what I want.
Well, I don't mean adding comments. I meant if I want to like really change something around and create a second copy called,
Yeah.
Alter One, for example, put it somewhere. Where should I put that within Dropbox?
And you just do that on your copy.
But there's not a place in Dropbox I can then share it with the other 3 people. They can just go on Dropbox and see it.
No, so what you
Okay.
can do is go like, I can get this to work. Okay, I just told you to spell your name, but Ozzy thinks we should.
But that's not a comment, right?
Huh?
That's a comment?
Actually, I thought it would come out in a bubble on the side.
Looks like you just altered the dot.
I know. Does anyone know the answer to this?
I think insert, if you go to the insert menu, there's an insert comment.
Insert comment. There we go. Okay. So then you could say, we tried this and it didn't work. Okay.
Just don't save this when you're done, since you may have changed things incorrectly.
Right, yeah, yeah. So that way, that is a great way to communicate both with Rachel and I. Like if you really, as you're going along through the year, if you have some feedback for us about a lesson or a particular piece of it, that's a great way to get us feedback. Or if you want to send a message to the other people. I don't know how effective that is because you're teaching it on the same weekend, but it's good for us to know.
Okay.
So there's that. What to say? So you got your lessons, you got your class lists. I'm going to jump down to here, your calendar. So I printed out calendars tonight because I'm hoping that you'll have some time to work on your calendars together. But if you ever have any questions about your calendar, if you lose your paper calendar, or if for any other reason you need to look up your calendar, you can access it through Dropbox. There's also a parent calendar on there. And one of the things that we're asking our teaching teams to do is to send a welcome email to all the parents. Just saying, we're looking forward to this year with you and with your child. This is kind of the overview of what we're going to be looking at this year. We are the teachers. You can even include pictures of yourselves, thanks to modern technology. And then send them a copy of the parents' calendar so that they know what to expect when. Okay? It's always subject to change because, let's say there's a visit scheduled on one weekend and we can't get it that weekend, we have to go a different weekend. So it's a fluid thing, but it gives people something. And the other kind of nice thing that's specific to this class is that, let's say you have someone in your class whose mother is Jewish, and she'd be like, hey, I would love to come and talk about Judaism with your class. Fantastic. You can be really flexible in how you approach this that way. If you know someone who has some expertise in any one of these religions and they would love to come do something with our kids, then that's fine. I appreciate knowing about it. partly because I might want to borrow your stores, but also just because it might be nice for you to pop in and see how it is. So, yeah. Okay. So there's your calendar. There's 2 calendars in Dropbox. There's your teacher calendar. There's a calendar for parents. And then there is this supply list. So if you get here and you're like, hey, I thought I was supposed to have this book, you can just look at the supply list on Dropbox and it will tell you. And as you, I think, all know, the stuff that's in the grid on there will come to you. This is a new thing for Scott. That's Scott. Comes to you in these boxes and it's delivered to your room, which is here that weekend. And then the stuff that's listed underneath that, where it says curriculum box, is all in here. And there's a separate folder for each lesson. I think you're all familiar with that, right? So that's where your DVDs will be. That's where some of the relic items are. That's where handouts are. Anything that would kind of fit in that box. It isn't really consumable like in the way that our experience are.
And so if there's a DVD that is part of the lesson, you all will, through magic, take care of getting the player here, but if we want to add something, another week, we need to let you know in advance or let Rachel know in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a request for a TV, you should let Rachel know. And then she'll put it on the calendar, and then Dan,
Steve,
Steve will have it magically appear. And they're really good at providing tech support if you need it, because sometimes things don't work smoothly around here, probably around anywhere when it comes to technology. So they're really great at helping. I'm really mediocre at it, but I'll give it my best shot. Okay, and then there's the folder of teacher materials. So there's a lot of different things in here. There's stuff on behavior management, classroom rituals. If any of you ever looked at the tab on our website that was resources for teachers, all that stuff is in here now. Probably what's most important for you is this classroom volunteers grid, which you have a paper copy of tonight, but if you ever need to go back and refer to it, it lists all of the teaching teams, and you'll notice like it has your classroom support coordinator listed on the left, and then that person's email, and then Faith and Actions coordinator, their email, and then the teaching team. Unfortunately, we don't have a column for phone numbers, but all of those phone numbers are on your class list. So if you need to call each other, you can always go to Dropbox and look up your class list. Okay?
have you picked the Faith in Action weeks?
Yes, the Faith in Action weeks are, you have one Faith in Action activity, and it's going to be, it's already predetermined for you guys. It's going to be going out to Circle Sanctuary, which is a faith and community, and doing a service project there. It's going to be like more part educational and part service project. So.
You said that was in Barnabas?
Yeah, in Barnabas. Okay. I feel like one of you guys, no, maybe that's not true. I was going to say, I think maybe one of you doesn't have a classroom support coordinator. But you both do actually, so that's okay. Okay, so there's that grid. If there's any changes, and well, the other reason why this is kind of good is like if you have 2 kids and you don't want to be on the list for being a parent helper in the other kids' class because you're teaching parent, you're exempt from doing that. But if for some reason you need to remind that classroom support coordinator that you're exempt from doing that, then you can get their information from here. So. There is then also some information on how to create a class covenant in case you need some help with that. It's pretty general. I think you're all familiar with the class covenant. It's the agreement of how you will be in community together. It's worked into your lesson the first day that you guys meet. It's creating a class covenant as well as some other things. If you feel like it would be helpful to read through that beforehand, that'd be great. And then also important You don't really do much with food in this class, but just in case, here's a list of all the allergies that are represented this year. So, and it's listed by time, so the Saturday group is listed first. Doesn't look like there's any Building Bridges kids there. Sunday, 9 o'clock. Again, no Building Bridges kids, but if somebody were to add your class and they had an allergy, they would be on this list. The other thing that we're going to start doing is if a kid has an allergy, I've asked Rachel to put on the attendance sheet under their name, allergy, and then there will be a sheet attached to the clipboards with all these allergies so that you know you need to be in the, on alert to find out what's up with that particular kid. Some kids have pretty extensive allergies, so we can't just fit them on the attendance sheet.
Some are allergic to vegans.
Some are. Allergies and special needs, I should say. So, if you just were like extremely bored one night and you thought, what can I do? Maybe I'll watch the training videos from church. Here's links to go to those training videos from, these are from a couple of years ago, actually. And then there's the teacher's manual that has just really general information about policies and procedures. It reminds you that we have a 2 adult rule, so there should always be 2 adults in the classroom. It gives you kind of a suggested timeline for getting ready for your class. It talks about the curriculum lead and community lead, roles, I guess. And I'm going to explain those for the purposes of our camera. The community lead person is the person who leads the opening and closing rituals and also has their eyes focused on how people are being in community with each other. How are they acting towards each other? If there are issues with a kid, it's up to the community lead to intervene. If there are great things going on and there's great teamwork happening, it's up to the community lead to say, hey, that was really awesome the way you guys worked together on that. The curriculum lead is the person who is responsible for taking the content of the lesson and delivering it. So, and the nice thing about having both of those roles is that if you're responsible for teaching the class, then you know that you're kind of off the hook for dealing with any kind of behavioral stuff, and that someone else is going to take care of it. So there's that. I'm going to just kind of look through here and see if there's anything that jumps out that I know I want to mention. Okay. That's pretty clear.
Is there a parent helper for this class?
There's not a parent helper.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Once we hit 6th grade, we figure they don't need parent helper.
Just confirm.
Yeah. However, if there are, while we're talking about, like behavioral stuff, if there are any really challenging issues in your classroom, please let me know that sooner rather than later so that we can do some problem solving around that rather than letting it, fester and get worse and worse. There's lots of different things that we can do. There may be kids with, or a kid with a special need in your classroom that we assign an inclusion buddy to. I don't recall offhand where they are, who they are, but we have them. And then if there are kids like maybe who are on the autism spectrum, we may match them with an inclusion buddy. And if that's the case, then we usually have 2 buddies assigned to a kid, and they rotate, take turns being with that child.
Is there any special thing we need to learn? I mean, I believe there's a kid with autism in our class, but.
If there is, then I will make sure that you've learned it. Like I may call together a meeting with the parents and the teachers and the inclusion buddies so that everyone's on the same page from the get-go. Okay. And that's only if a parent has indicated on the registration form that they have a kid with special need and they would like an inclusion buddy. Sometimes it happens that they don't put that, but in the course of the year, we discover that this kid would really benefit from an inclusion buddy. we're not gonna force an inclusion buddy on anybody, but if that were the case, then I would contact your parents and say, you know, we really think that it would be helpful. So, and then we take it from there. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Just in terms of like the logistics of your room, you'll come in and there won't be tables here, it will be a clear floor. It seems to be working really well to have our group start out sitting in a circle on the floor. I think you're probably all familiar with the opening and closing rituals that we have. This curriculum has set opening words and closing words that are hanging on that wall over there, right on Nazi. And what we started doing last year, possibly the year before, is handing a child one of our glass beads from the bowl that's in your closet. When they come in, hand them one of the stones, they sit in a circle, and then when you go around and do your joys or sorrows, or if you have a check-in question or something like that, you pass the bowl and you put it in until it goes around the circle. Do you tell me how you guys feel about fire? You know, we've started using battery-operated candles for a lot of our classes. These guys are 6th graders. What do you think? Fire or no fire?
I like fire.
You like fire? Okay, place burns down, it's on you.
Couple metal slots in the carpet.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I
I did
love
fire.
that.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Reed was around, we did. I don't know. Sure.
So one of the things that you guys are going to have to decide on, perhaps tonight, let's see, you're each missing one person from your team. It's too bad. But maybe one of you would be willing to take on the task of putting together the welcome email and getting that out. I would say at least a week before classes begin. Do you know when classes begin?
10,
No.
11.
Okay, September 10th and 11th. All right. And then I think that you also are aware that after each session, our teachers are supposed to send out a summary email describing what you did that week. You can choose to have that be just the regular task of the curriculum lead. You can choose to have that be the regular task of the community lead, whatever works for you guys. I just really want them to go up because then when, you know, sometimes there are teaching teams that aren't as committed to that, and then the teachers say, I never heard anything, I don't know what's going on in class, because now, of course, they expect it. So, if I heard that, then I'll be getting in touch with you. And the other thing that I want to mention is that for that first week of class, it's really great if you can all be there, and it's really even super great if you can all take a piece of leading that class so that all of the kids are, you know, having an experience with you as a leader in that class. So hopefully that will work out for you guys. There's only, on the calendar, I only put teacher 1 and teacher 2 because I don't want to be overly optimistic thinking that all 4 can do it, but go for it with all 4 if you can. Okay, questions?
If we can hold these videos,
No,
No.
they live here.
they live here. Can I bring a computer and copy them? So I have
didn't hear
one.
that. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
So they're not checkable from your library at all, anything like that?
No.
There's not another copy?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you wanted to come here and watch it, you could certainly do that.
Oh, we can watch it here?
You could watch it
Okay.
here. Yep, if you want to arrange a time. Yeah.
Do you know how much this is? I'll look online, obviously.
I don't remember how much they are.
Is it typical that you go from 2 sections of the 5th grade class down to 1 of the 6th grade class?
So once we hit middle school, we do 1 grade level at a time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And I
that's
don't
typical.
think I've seen the list, but is it a bigger, it doesn't look like
It's
a
like
overwhelmingly huge.
12.
It's just-
I mean, relative to
Yeah.
Yeah.
what it could have been.
It's really kind of nice to have smaller classes once we hit that age group because there's more, I don't know, there's opportunity for more personal sharing. The tighter the community, the better that's going to be. So, yeah.
What did we have last year? Was it 4th, 5th?
Yeah. Great. Other questions? Are you excited about teaching this?
Yeah.
It's a cool curriculum. It's kind of ironic because like sometimes for 9 o'clock, there were more people who wanted to teach it than there was space for teachers. And that's not that unusual because,
But not this year.
well, so we had one person who's like on backup. He's like, if anyone needs to step out from teaching at 9 o'clock, I'm there. And I think it's because people are really interested in learning about other religions, and it's intimidating to go to visit places just on your own. So here they have sort of the cape of the class, yeah. So, yeah, it's an in. Each of our classrooms has supplies in them. In this room, you have a mirror, just in case you need it. This is where the wedding people change. But then you have all of your basic supplies of markers, fidget box, if your kids need a fidget box, matches, your chalice, your chimes, scissors, pencils, tape, all that kind of stuff. There's cleaning materials, because I know you're going to want to clean up after your class makes a mess, right? There's a CD player if you need that. I don't think there's many messy projects this year, but in case there are some vinyl tablecloths that you can put on if you're working at the tables to keep those protected. You have kind of a bunch of different posters that you may want to pull out, or we may end up pulling out for you that relate to different sessions. There's a world map if you want to take a look at where exactly was this place where this religion was started. There's a lot of Hindu gods and goddesses. And then there's also, I don't even know, like these have been here as long as I've been here. I've been here a long time. I don't know where they came from, but it's kind of nice to hang these up when you're introducing that particular faith. You can put it on our board. This is a magnetic wall. And if you need magnets, there's more in here. Also, if you need dry erase markers for your built-in dry erase board, they're in here. And what else do we have in here? Various books that may be relevant. Scratch paper. We will have a box of your journals. They're just the composition books, So we'll have a box of those, probably 2 boxes, one for each section, so that you don't have to figure that out. And then here's some newsprint paper, if you need that. Oh, I do want to get your mural paper. But before I do that, there's garbage cans in here, recycling, garbage under here, and first aid materials here. A lot of information about emergency procedures. And this is also in teacher resources on Dropbox, so if you want to read it in more detail, it's, what do you do if there's an active shooter in the building? What do you do if there's a fire? What do you do if you lost a kid? Just, I don't know that that's really in there, but there's a lot of information in there. Yeah, alligators.